Welcome back to Business 201 Principles of Marketing Online with Professor Joe Lane. Still sounds a little funny to me, online Professor Joe Lane. I've enjoyed doing these videos. I'm doing it in my room 363 where the studio is all set up. And so I just kind of like pretend y'all are here. But I do miss the face-to-face and the interaction. Although I want you to be, that stay at home that we have. I want you to be very, very careful out there. As little activity of contact with others. Take care of yourself. I'll take care of myself, and then hopefully fall we'll all be back together again. Now, you have just completed a few chapters, watching videos, and taking test number 3. We are getting really close to the end now. We only have 2 more chapters to cover before the final. We're going to cover chapter. We had chapter 10B, 11, 12, and 14 on test number 3. The 2 chapters we have not covered are chapter 13 and chapter 15, and that's the 2 chapters we're going to be covering now for test number 4. So test number 4 is going to have chapters 13 and 14 on it. I'm sorry, 13 and 15. Don't want to confuse you. However, it's comprehensive. So it's also going to go back all the way to the first of the book. And you'll notice when we review for the final, there's going to be a lot of things that we need to know or be familiar with in other parts of the book. So I'll do a really good job of reviewing with you for the final when that comes up before too long. But we got to get through chapters 13 and 15 first. And I'll do these just like I did the other chapters. As we go through here, we'll talk about things that you need to know, things that you need to be familiar with. As I was reviewing my chapter handouts for chapters 13 and 15, I prepared these chapter handouts basically with the assumption that students would have the book along with this. I prepared these a pretty good while ago. It's more and more apparent now that some students just don't have books. So one of the good things that we're going to be able to do as we go through 13 and 15 is that I'm going to kind of supplement what's in these study guides with some additional information that will help you prepare for test number 4, the final, and then we're done. Okay. This chapter 13, is talking about digital marketing. Again, you can see a bunch of stuff up here on the board. And the reason I put this stuff up here is, again, I didn't put it in your handout for you, but it's either things I want you to be familiar with or I want you to know, and I felt like that I needed to give it to you just in case you did not have a text. All right. If you look at the very first of the study guide for digital marketing, chapter 13, it says, although marketing has been around for a number of decades, marketing we really think about happening around 1950 is when the customer really began to be thought of first. Digital marketing is a recent phenomenon. Well, as each year that passes, digital marketing has maybe a little bit less of a recent phenomenon, because it's been around for a while now. But we'll still go, and I want you to be familiar with what he says here. Although marketing has been around for 70 years or so, still digital marketing has been around, or is kind of more of a recent phenomenon. And as you well know, marketing has really changed over the last few years because of social media and technology and all these sorts of things. Okay. I make another little statement here. Not since the invention of the automobile has one single invention changed our life more so than the development of the internet. I want you to be familiar with that too. I know that sounds kind of silly, but I want to make sure we understand, and I know you do. Do you know I was alive before the internet was invented? That's scary. I'm sorry. Just had to, And so to me, the internet, when it came along, it's like, that just can't be. Now people, are born and are growing up living with the internet. But it is, not since the automobile, which allowed us to move around, has there been any one invention that has changed our lives more than the internet. I think that's a pretty interesting statement. Okay. We're going to be looking at digital marketing, and we're going to be looking at the internet, and we're going to be looking at it from the point of view of the business and the point of view of the customer. So I'll make sure you know who you are as we go through here. If you looked a little bit further down, he talks about digital marketing, and he has some statistics and things like that. And then I mentioned, if you look at it, a big benefit of digital marketing. But I didn't really tell you what those big benefits were or who those big benefits were for. Well, I'd like for that to be something I'd like for you to be familiar with. So let me give you some help on that. I'm looking at the benefits of digital marketing and the internet from the point of view of the company benefits as it relates to the internet, digital marketing, and that sort of thing. So I listed for you some things that I want you to be familiar with that have been benefits for the company. Okay, I think I've said that 3 times. We get the idea. The way the company can do sales, we know that's totally changed because of the internet. Interactivity. The wonderful thing about the internet is you can have interactivity. You can have one-on-one activity with the internet. The only other way you can really do that is with a salesperson. Matter of fact, you might be familiar with the fact that, and we may cover this later on in chapter 15. But while I'm thinking about it, one of the great things about the internet is it's the only other way besides the person face-to-face personal selling that you can interact one-on-one, customer and marketer. All right, multimedia capabilities. There's all different types of multimedia usage for the company by way of the internet. Global reach. Used to I could only serve the people in Monroe, West Monroe. Now I can serve the people all over the world. These are pretty easy and we understand them. Flexibility. If you used to do all your stuff using the newspaper, y'all know what those are? You know, the newspaper? Well, the newspapers weren't very flexible. Once you printed it, it was there and you couldn't change it. Gosh, the flexibility, how you can change your message, how you can change your strategy, we get the idea. Cost efficiencies. When I tell people that it cost $6 million for a 30-second ad on the Super Bowl, people are like, golly, that's crazy, $6 million. And I think that's for 30 seconds. $6 million, I think, is what it was this year, or right at that for 30 seconds. And you think, oh, that's crazy, that's crazy. But you know what? They reach over 100 million people. And if that's your target market that's watching the Super Bowl, and you can reach over 100 million people, that's pretty good. But there's all kind of cost efficiencies for marketers utilizing the internet. It's less costly. Real time, boy, you can get stuff out like this. Whether it's holiday season or whatever, you can respond very quickly. They can, with that flexibility in real time, they can move things very, very quickly. They can provide a lot of information. They can do a lot of communication with you. They have great opportunities for communication. And then the last thing they talk about is data warehousing. They can take information they receive, your zip code number if you give that, if you make a purchase, your address, things like this, and they can put these things in a data warehouse. They can warehouse information that's important to them about their customers or their potential customers. So I don't want to totally overdo this because this is just to be familiar with, but I would be familiar with just some of the company benefits of the internet as it relates to marketing. Now I put a little asterisk here over under next to multimedia capabilities. Here's a great thing. I'll throw this out kind of for consumers as we're talking about this. Here's a great thing about the fact that you've got all these multimedia capabilities. Consumers can examine what they want to see. You can go on the internet and you can examine what you want to see, You can do it at your pace, and you can do it as often as you want to. I know sometimes when I'm thinking about maybe making a purchase on the internet, I'll go in and look, but I'm not quite ready yet. And so then, I'll go back, maybe look at some additional things, some information, that sort of thing. It's really nice that I have that ability to go in and do that. I was looking for a battery charger. And so you talk about, they can examine what they want to see. I did some comparisons and everything. I can do it at my pace. I didn't have to go and do it all at one time. Over a period of several days, I looked at different battery chargers. I did it at my pace, and as often as I wanted to. Some days I didn't have time to fool with it, and I'd say, oh yeah, let me check that out. And so I did that over a period of several days, and yes, I've bought a battery charger, so I have that now. Okay, so anyway, I would just be familiar with some of these company benefits that the internet has brought to companies, especially as far as their marketing is concerned. Okay, do you know what e-commerce is? There was a time when I was teaching marketing, when all this stuff was just happening, and I'd say, what is e-commerce? It'd be like, e-commerce, does that have to do with the internet? Well, of course, now we know that e-commerce is selling goods and services over the internet. A few years ago, talking about marketing, I would say, how many of you have purchased something over the internet? And in a classroom, a few folks would raise their hand that they had. Now, if I ask that question now in a classroom, what do you think? Virtually everybody. Virtually everybody. If you find somebody that hasn't ever purchased anything over the internet, it's like, wow, what happened to you? Because it's just a way that we do a lot of our purchasing now. Okay, so I want you to be familiar with what e-commerce is, the selling of goods and services over the internet. And I want you to be familiar with something else I put on your handout, 3 types of businesses. Those 3 types of businesses are bricks and mortar businesses, bricks and clicks only. Now you may not have heard that terminology, but I just want you to be familiar with what that means. A company that's a bricks and mortar company is a company that has a physical presence where you can walk in, but they don't do anything on the internet. They're a bricks and mortar company only. Not a lot of those left anymore. Not a lot of those left. Then you have the bricks and clicks. That's the companies, like most companies today, they have a physical presence. Cartown, you can go down to Cartown and you can walk their pre-owned car lots and buy you a car. Or you can go on their really well done webpage on the internet, and you can buy that way. Okay. And then clicks only. These are companies like Amazon that don't have a physical presence. They are internet presence. So I'd be familiar with bricks and mortar, bricks and clicks only. Okay, when you're buying on the internet, something right below that, you're always going to find 3 components as you do internet shopping. Component number 1 is a catalog. They're going to have a catalog of what they have, and those are usually really good. And one of the great things is a lot of variety and all that sort of thing. They're going to have a catalog, they're going to have a shopping cart, and they're going to have a payment system. So just be familiar with 3 primary components of an e-commerce is a catalog, shopping cart, and payment system. I went on the internet last week to buy a necklace. My wife and I were buying a necklace for our daughter. It was a necklace that had the LSU National Championship thing. It was a very, very attractive necklace, and we bought it from a jewelry store. I bought things from them for Christmas and that sort of thing. And so I'm used to shopping with them on the internet. And so I went in to purchase this particular item. And so I put the item in my shopping cart. Had the catalog. There were several different necklaces and everything, but there was one in particular we wanted to buy. So we had the catalog. And so I picked the necklace we wanted to buy. I put it in the shopping cart. So then I wanted to check out. I couldn't figure out how to check out. There was nothing that led me to check out. So, you know, the little chat box came up, and so I said, how do you check out? And it came back, you click the little bag in the right corner. There was no little bag in the right corner. So I looked, and I didn't find that. But finally I did find, I mean, here's the deal. Put go to checkout, or just checkout that you can punch. Don't make it hard. Don't make a person search. I finally found something that looked like, not in the right hand corner, but up, you know, something that looked like maybe could be a bag. So I clicked it, as I was able to go ahead and check out. But since I had the guy pulled up on the chat box, you know, I told him, I said, this is very hard. I said, you don't make it easy for people to check out. I said, go in as a customer and do this and see how difficult it is. And I finished my purchase, and then I got a thing back from that person thanking me for my suggestion. He probably didn't want to thank me, but he did. But it still wasn't easy to check out. Okay, so you definitely want that. You want to make it easy for people to buy. And of course, the payment. So catalog, shopping cart, and payment systems. Right. The next thing that I have on our study guide is why people shop on the internet. And I didn't put anything down there, and this is a no item. And so if it's a no item, why didn't you put something down there? Well, here's the reason. This is one of the biggies that we do in class. I start, if I have a class of say 20 or 25 people, I start with the first person here, and I say, okay, what's one reason you shop on the internet? And they'll give me, and I list them on the whiteboard. My whiteboard, okay? And normally we get at least 30. Sometimes I've gotten almost close to 40 reasons why people shop on the internet. So I didn't include it on the handout because I included it on the whiteboard. However, and that's always fun because people come up with some of the neatest reasons why. So I have listed for you, and this is something I want you to know. This is a no item. I want you to know some reasons why people purchase online. Now you may be thinking, how many of these do I need to know? 25? No, I don't know. 5, 6, 7. But here's the deal. They don't have to be these. There's, like I said, there's about 8 or 10 or 12, whatever this is here. A lot of times I get about 25 when we go through the class. So as long as it's a legitimate reason people shop on the internet, it's a no item that you can almost make up, okay? But let's look at some of the reasons real quick. 24/7. I don't like 24/7. I don't like that terminology, but you get the idea. You can do it anytime you want to, 7 days a week. Products are shipped to the consumer. You know, you have and so much time now, free shipping, right to you. It comes pretty quickly. All right. Speed. You can shop on the internet quickly, fast. A lot of information. They're really good at giving you information. That's another reason. Wide product variety. Man, I was looking at all kind of battery chargers. Okay. No salespeople. Some people don't like to deal with salespeople. There's none. Lower prices. A lot of times you have those internet values. Okay. No crowds. Right now, crowds are something we don't want to deal with at all for a lot of reasons. But some people just don't like crowds. How you get on the internet, got to deal with them. Ease of comparison. That kind of goes with information, but there's a lot of like I compared battery chargers. Okay. I'm into battery chargers only because I just made that purchase a few days ago. I've got this one down here twice. No salespeople. I guess I didn't want salespeople enough that I put it down twice. It's time saving. You can do it very quickly, and it's very convenient. Now there's probably some others that you might think of as well we could add here. I'll add one more. You can shop in your PJs. How's that? You don't have to get dressed up. You don't have to get dressed at all, hardly, you know. and to do it. So I want you to know some reasons why folks purchase online. I gave you some here. There's probably others that you can think of as well. And so whatever you think that you come up with, just as long as they're good, legitimate, that's going to be fine. Okay. One more thing that I want you to be familiar with, backside of my handout, or the next page of my handout, is you got it on Canvas. We talked about some benefits that to companies, to marketers, to marketing within a company that the internet provides, and we went through those. And we also talked about, I kind of threw in here that one of the good things about all this, and I wanted you to be familiar with, is that consumers can examine what they want to see at their pace and as often as they want to. We did that. That was a be familiar with. That's a be familiar with. Okay, over here was a no item. Now there's one more thing. He says, all right, let's talk a little bit, and it's the top of the next page, as far as the back side of the page, as far as my handout's concerned. Digital marketing strategies. Now we're not looking at company benefits here. What we're looking at here would be company strategies that they may use. Okay. So, and I put them up here, and I'll just go through them quickly with you. I didn't put anything more than just list them, but I think, and this is to be familiar with. So some strategies that companies may use. Content marketing. Companies are a strategy of providing good, truthful, honest content about their product. Behavioral targeting. Targeting those people with certain behaviors that would make them want to have your product. Sometimes companies, one of their strategies is by putting up blogs and newsletters. Sometimes they use email marketing. You ever get emails? There's a company called Zazzle, I think. Zazzle, Z-A-L-L. Z-A-Z-E-L-L. Maybe that's it. I must have bought something from Zazzle at some point in time, because I get a Zazzle email about 3 times a day. I guess the next time I look at it, I'll figure out how to spell it. But blogs and news. Digital advertising. Obviously, one of the strategies they can use is doing advertising by way of social media, digitally speaking. Interactive marketing. We talked about they have an interactivity as far as a benefit, so they utilize that interactivity as one of their strategies, is their interactive marketing. I think search engine optimization. What is that? What is that? Now, the official definition of that, let me see if I can find it. I'll be honest with you, the first time I went through here and I saw that, I didn't exactly know what that was. Search engine optimization, the process of increasing the probability of a particular company's website emerging from search. You know, I guess I always thought, if I was searching for battery chargers, I know, I'm back on that again. If I search for battery chargers, well, something would pop up. And the next time I search for it, something entirely different would pop up, or something entirely different. But that's not the case. Under this search engine optimization, it's where companies position themselves where if you ask for a particular thing, they're going to pop up first, or they're going to pop up as one of the very first. That's an important strategy, I would think, search engine optimization. Anyway, I've listed about 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 here. Digital advertising, I think we've mentioned most of them. I would just be familiar with some of those marketing strategies. So be familiar with some of those marketing strategies. That could be a good multiple choice question. Be familiar with some of these company benefits that the internet provides as far as to marketers are concerned. But know the reasons why a person's purchase online. Okay, at the very latter part of my notes for chapter 13, I mentioned, or he mentions, social media. Wow. Again, in the last 20 years, marketing has changed tremendously because of social media, technology, the internet, and this sort of thing. It's totally different. I guess the way he talked about digital marketing is a recent phenomenon. It really does. It really has changed the landscape of how marketing is done. He talks about social media, and he says this: social interaction remains the fundamental basis of social media. And right now, during this coronavirus situation, there's a lot of social interaction going on by way of social media. It's been interesting, some of these artists, these singers, and musicians and that sort of thing that have been doing concerts and everything by way of TV, by way of the internet. Those have really been kind of neat. So anyway, I'd be familiar with the fact that social media, the social interaction remains the fundamental basis of social media. And then the last thing under that, he talks about viral marketing. Now, I didn't give you any information about it. I wanted you to be familiar with it. So let me help you if you don't have a text. We talked about search engine optimization, the process of increasing the probability of a particular company's website emerging from a search. If one of your marketing strategies is search engine optimization, I can see how that could be really, really, really important. Okay, let's look at social interaction remains the fundamental basis of social media. And then he talks about something called viral marketing. Now, this is another one of those things that I love to talk about when we've got folks in the class because we can actually discuss it. Viral marketing, preparing a marketing message to be passed from one consumer to another through digital venues or social media. Sometimes we get a marketing message that's passed on to others. We pass it on to others, especially if it has a discount on it or something like that. Preparing a marketing message to be passed from one consumer to another through digital venues or social media. That's viral marketing. So I'd be familiar with what viral marketing is. That kind of completes chapter 13 on digital marketing. A recent phenomenon, a life changer for marketers and for us. And we went through and kind of talked about different things about it. I think that does a pretty good job with chapter 13. I'm going to go, the makeup people are ready to redo my makeup. The hairstylist is here and everything to get me ready to do chapter 15. Once I finish chapter 15, we are done with those two chapters we have to cover for the final, or test number 4, and then we'll do the review. So now the way, if you remember from looking at chapters, watching chapters 10b, 11, 12, the way I have to end a chapter is with a loud noise. And that loud noise lets Professor Pierce, who's editing all this stuff, Professor Pierce is the executive producer of all this, and the director, and now he's not here, he just sets up and goes away, and I do these things. But anyway, a loud noise to show that we have ended a chapter. So I'm going to do the clapping of the hands, which will say that we have finished Digital Marketing Chapter 13. Thank you. I'll see you in Chapter 15.